whatever. All this ever about you long gone, it don't matter. Ride or die, that's been the deal. The light of your body got disappear. But if you don't play that for me, I'm out of it, I'm out of it. I lick my cup and then I'm done. I'm out of it, I'm out of it. And no man to tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulders. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, the weight of you. Don't need a no man. Tell me you're no good. I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, of my shoulders. Done with my cigarette, and when all the smoke is clear, I'm brushing away to you, the weight of you, the weight of you. Don't need a no man.
Welcome back everyone. Today we are flying out the F4U-4B Corsair, which is at a battle rating of 5.7 in the USA tech tree. This plane quickly became one of my favorite planes in the entire game, and I recently have been spamming this aircraft out in RB to grind the battle pass, and I only have good things to say about this thing. The firepower on the 4B is up there with the best armaments you will find on any prop in the entire game, but the 4B doesn't have just an amazing set of guns, the flight performance is also really good. A couple of months ago, the Corsairs had their flight models changed, and although nothing major happened to any of them, the 4B got a couple of small tweaks to its flight model that are all on the positive side. It is a tiny bit faster, it pulls around half a G more at high speeds where it starts to compress, and it climbs a bit better, and it also has much better stall control than it used to. It used to be really unstable for that stuff, but now it's not, which is really nice. And in my experience, these changes, although they're really small, they make all the difference for me, and it takes an already great 5.7 aircraft, and it elevates it to arguably the best 5.7 in the entire game, bar the F4U and the VK107, but those bias mobiles don't really count. There aren't really any major downsides to this aircraft that other players can easily exploit, because the Corsair is a plane that can really just do it all. It is fast, it rolls well, it keeps its speed pretty well, solid climb, solid performance anywhere below 6,500 meters, and although this plane compresses pretty badly, at low speed when the flaps are dropped, you can actually win a lot of dogfights against a lot of aircraft. This plane is really fast, and it's pretty much able to outrun anything below 6.3 besides the Tempest Mark II and a couple of German jets and some USA props, which are going to be on your team anyways. It goes about 660 kilometers on the deck with its rads closed, and with the MEC settings I use, it's actually not that much slower, going about 648 kilometers an hour with 100% rads and 95% prop pitch. Trust me, you definitely want to keep the radiators at 100 the entire game, because this plane's engine might as well be a fission reactor. It will overheat even with these settings, but the 4B is still plenty fast without WEP, so it won't really be an issue just to cruise at around 100% throttle for some quieter parts of the game. And also the engine temperature doesn't go back to stable temperatures very quickly after reaching red or flashing red, so a tip that I use is to 0% throttle either in a dive to prevent the engine from overheating, or just 0 throttle for a couple of seconds when the engine's already red, because it's much easier to cool it from orange to white than it is from red to white, if that makes sense. The Corsair also uses an air-cooled radial engine, so going faster will cool the engine better. It'll be more airflow, so just more cooling. And just make sure you keep your speed, because it's not only just to get away from enemies, but it'll also be able to keep your engine in a healthier state for more of the battle. And speaking of WEP, I forgot to mention another buff this thing got, which is probably more major than the things I was talking about earlier. All Corsairs use a methanol injection WEP system, which means it used to have a limited amount, but with the update a few months ago where many of the USA aircraft using methanol injection got Infinite WEP, this plane is even better now. Aside from the several buffs this plane got that make it filthy at this BR, there are a couple of other tricks in the 4B that I will show you guys later in the video, but first I want to talk a bit more about the flight performance of this thing. The 4B got nerfed a while back, like 4 years ago, which made it compress really early, and it also made it overheat for some reason. So it doesn't have the best high-speed turn, but at low speed things change. The flaps on the Corsair are really, really good, but they auto-retract above 350, so you can only use them below that speed. Combine these flaps with a 2700 horsepower engine, and you get a plane that is actually really nasty at low speeds. The 4B can hang with many good turning aircraft for a couple of turns before being forced to dive away, and with the better stall control this thing got with its flight model was tuned, it is extremely dangerous because it can pull AOA even at 100 kilometers an hour and aim its nose anywhere. And did I forget to mention the 1,000 rounds of A&M 320mm cannon which disintegrate anything in its path? Just do be careful a bit with extended dogfights though, because dropping the flaps really curbs this plane's energy retention, and the 4B's acceleration isn't really that good actually relative to its engine power and speed. Anyways, this plane is just capable of a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect, and whenever I'm facing a 4B Corsair, I make sure to be extra careful around it because they are a threat to basically any plane no matter how much of a positional advantage you have. Since the 4B has good guns and low speed control, this plane is extremely good at spiking people, and I would even dare to say I've never felt more confident in any other plane when I'm pitching up for somebody. The 4B Corsair is my favorite plane to spike people with. For the gameplay with the 4B, I don't actually side climb in this aircraft, I just go straight in. My main strategy is to just head on as many people as I can during the first merge before I have to run away, and usually that's in a dive towards the side of the map or under my team. Being aggressive is just kind of how I like to fly this thing, because it has the armament to tear a hole in the enemy team just before being forced away. It has really good guns, and you want to use that at the beginning of the match. Alright, I say we hop into the rest of the video. I will have each segment timestamped as usual, so you guys can either skip segments or just jump around the video however you want. So let's go. Alright, so first we're going to start off with a couple of examples, actually like more than a dozen examples of head-ons, and I just have so many extra clips of head-ons in this aircraft. It's pretty funny actually, but this plane is just, I honestly think it is one of the best head-on planes in the entire game for props. Maybe the Do 335 B2, but I would say this thing I like more because it's just not as big of a target, and it can actually dodge people's shots. But yeah, 4 A&M 3 cannons with almost 1,000 rounds of ammo pool is just insane. I mean, you can hold mouse 1 for ages in this thing, and these guns also do so much damage. I mean, they're just amazing. I'm kind of lost for words. I don't have much to say, but yeah, this thing just has the guns to do whatever it wants. The stealth rounds I'm using here in this clip, they have all HEFI rounds. And then the air targets, which I'm also going to be using in some of this video, have 3 HEFI and 1 armor-piercing tracer. And I use both of them about 50-50. The air targets are actually just as useful in head-ons, or just as good, because most people just don't even bother dodging, which I don't understand why. Like in this clip, I think I got 3 or 4 head-ons in the same match, back to back to back, because people just didn't bother dodging. But yeah, I mean, if people want to pitch in like this and not dodge the head-on, then I'm all for it. It gives me a free kill. It is just kind of boring, but it's also kind of funny if you get multiple of them back-to-back like this. I-225 gets slammed. He goes down. Yak 3, he's not really going that fast, so he kind of didn't really have an option, but he still could have dodged this anyways. But yeah, he also goes down. Yeah, these guns are great. And you're going to see I'm doing pretty much the same thing that I usually do. It's, or the same thing every time in each head-on. So I start shooting, and while I'm shooting, I'm rolling to one side, usually the left side, and then I'm only going to pull off after the enemy started shooting, like just after. That example wasn't a very good, it didn't really follow what I was saying there, because that was kind of a close head-on, but normally I will pull off right after the enemy starts shooting. And it'll usually be either just a flat turn to the left or a barrel roll, depending on what I think needs to be done to effectively dodge the enemy, I'd say. That was a spike right there. It's basically just pitching up for people. And this plane is just really good at them. And I'll show you a couple of examples a bit later in the video after these gun clips. That's just showing off the range right there. These guns can reach upwards of 1.4, I think 1.5 kilometers. And this is an example of a little trick that I actually have, and it is the Corsair's hidden air brake. It's not actually called an air brake, it's actually the landing gear. And the landing gear they can be extended upwards of, like, I think 750 kilometers an hour. It's actually pretty useful because they do create a lot of drag. I think it's more drag than, you know, the P47M has an air brake. It's more drag than that, so it's pretty helpful. And this is actually some dual footage, and this is going to lead into the next trick the Corsair has. So you're going to see that was just the stock turn rate. The K4 is going to get the shot on me in the 2 circle, but this next clip you're going to see I'm switching my control modes to realistic, and what that basically is doing is it is turning my instructor off. And you can see I'm pulling 10 Gs now, which is absolutely insane. That's way more than I was pulling in that previous example, where I just was using normal RB controls. And you're going to see I get the first shot now. Do be careful, though, by doing this trick. I'd say below 500 is the kind of margin of error, because below 500 you're actually prone to flat spinning if you hold S, because sim controls in air RB are just not that stable. But that's besides the point. I actually used this trick quite a lot after I learned how to do it. It's really useful in the Corsair because you pull so much more compared to, or you pull so much more with the instructor off relative to other aircraft at the SPR. So if I were to do this in like a 190, it wouldn't really work as well, and it would just risk me flat spinning. So I don't really use it in any other aircraft, but it's really, really nice to have on the 4B because it compresses so bad at high speed. I actually had a clip in the montage, the second clip where I reversed the K4. I was using it there, and that kind of threw the K4's aim off. But right here, I'm just showing you a clip of a duel versus an LA7 because I just want to prove to you that the Corsair at low speeds can hang with a lot of stuff and actually beat quite a few stuff. We tested this versus a Key 84 as well, but I'm not going to show you that. It was pretty darn close. Like, it was really close actually, but the Key 84 was just able to squeak out the win in most of the duels. But it just kind of goes to show, this plane with its landing flaps down, although it does lose actually quite a bit of speed, it has so much engine horsepower that it's just able to helicopter like this. And you're going to see, don't go into rate fights, by the way. The LA7 would win the rate fight, and quite a bit of aircraft will win the rate fight in general. This thing just doesn't really have, well, how do I say it? With flaps down, not the best energy retention, and with the flaps up, not the best turn. You kind of have to find that sweet spot. And right here, I'm cutting throttle to stay behind him and stay inside of his turning circle, and also to stay slow enough so I can keep my landing flaps all the way down. And you're going to see I can just instantly turn, like, just directly inside of him. And there's nothing the LA7 can do, as long as you stay at those slow speeds. So, here's an example of a reversal. We're back to normal gameplay right now. And this is a narwhal, so it's not too hard to dodge his gun. I just go up and over his wing, back over again, just kind of baiting him in for the shot, kind of pitch back in front of him just to get him a bit closer there, but now I can follow him up. And there's not really much he can really do here because I have just enough speed to keep going up after him. He's a bit too slow, and I can just helicopter. And my guns, whenever they just hit a couple of bullets, a couple of shells, that's all you need. This next example is versus a P51 D30, and you're not going to see very many 1v1s in against a D30 because they're usually going to be on your team, but this was a mixed match, so it's one of those rare occurrences. But it's just going to show you that the 4B just slams things in a dogfight, and it's honestly kind of to the enemy's surprise because most people don't expect the Corsair to turn as well as it does at these speeds. The P51 will turn you at high speeds, I think above 450, I believe, but the second you get below 400 and drop these flaps, oh boy, it really is amazing. You catch so many people off guard, I think the next example after this one is of a Yak 9P, where I do a high yo-yo. But yeah, you can see I'm just already inside the P-51's turning circle, and I pretty quickly clean him up. Yeah, Yak 9P straight ahead of us. He goes for a head-on. I also miss. And yeah, a lot of head-ons in this aircraft. I'm going to be taking head-ons pretty much the entire video. But the second I see that Yak 9P goes into a flat turn instead of going up after me, I'm going to go into a high yo-yo. I'm going to drop these landing flaps, and that is going to boost my turn rate. This plane is really good at high yo-yos, kind of like the Thai H, because it's one of those aircraft that just have almost an unexpected, like really strong first turn, as long as you keep it below a certain speed. So it's just really good at catching people off guard. Here's another example of basically doing the same thing as I did to that Yak 9P, except I'm starting out below him this time. I'm just gonna go straight up after him, and he kind of turns in front of me, but you can kind of see that at these speeds I'm just able to pitch inside of him, and the second he just gets in my gun sight for even a little bit, I can just mow him down. These guns are great. So here is an example of a Spike now versus a KD-4. And his only real option was to just keep climbing away from me. But at these altitudes, I actually climb a bit better than him, surprisingly. Corsair has, at least since its flight model got tweaked, it has a better climb rate, and it's a pretty substantial one. Like, it's pretty noticeable. It's like, I want to say 2, maybe even 3 meters a second more than it used to be. Which it really helps this thing, because it didn't have the best climb to begin with. Here's another example of me going up for, I mean, you wouldn't expect it, but an A7M2, I'm completely clubbing like that. He probably didn't expect me to turn that well inside of him, and I only need to get yet another couple of rounds on target before he just gets disintegrated. This next example isn't going to be a duel, but more a situation where it's important that you understand that if a slower plane is on your 6 like this, you actually just don't need to bother paying that much attention to them, because if they're not catching you that much, you can just ignore them. And if they're still chasing you and they're in a slower aircraft, they become pretty much useless, because if they're chasing you, they're not going after other people, and their game presence is limited now. Their game presence is basically 0 with them just stuck on your tail, and I'm going to use this to my advantage, because he's never going to catch me, so I can actually just go after other people while I don't have to deal with him, because if he can't catch me, he's no danger to me. I can just ignore him, and he eventually breaks off after losing all of his altitude advantage, and I actually end up killing him a bit later. He ends up going for my teammate. I end up getting in gun range. I'm saying end up a lot here. Sorry about that. But yeah, he just one taps from about 900 meters, of course. But now we're going to get into kind of more boom and zoom examples, more energy trap examples. But first, I just thought this clip was pretty cool. I ended up getting both these 109s in one pass. So now we have a group of 3 enemies below us. The 109 is going to run away after pitching up for me. And my main priority target was the 109, but he pitched down earlier than the 2 zeros did. The zeros actually kept going up for me. So he's going to switch off of that, and I'm going to start looking at the zeros more than I am him now. These zeros seem to really want me, so I'm just going to kind of hover above them, just make sure that this guy doesn't get his nose on. I pull in just in time. I drop those landing flaps. And yeah, this thing just rotates around when it's at low speed much faster than most people can realize. A6M, the second one, goes down as well. And we're going to, I was using my instructor off key there just to turn around a bit quicker, but that's besides the point. We're going to go into the next example of me energy trapping an A7M. I'm going 500, he just does not have the speed, and I'm going to pitch directly over him in this situation because I want to make it look like he's cutting me off. I want to make it look like he's getting closer to me, and it kind of works because the second I pitch back down, he is completely stalled out. I'm able to just instantly get down on top of him, and he is just not able to dodge. Next example, we have a G56 below us, as well as a couple of couple of other enemies, sorry about that, including a Zero. G56 is one of those planes that climbs pretty well, but on this map he's going to overheat quite a bit, so I can take advantage of that, just kind of keep him slow, and he's already below me, so I just want to kind of make sure that I'm paying attention to the Zero as well, because he actually pitches straight up for me, but he just doesn't really have much nose authority there, so I can spray him down, go after the G56, and I already have my nose on him, So he's going to attempt to dodge me, but when I'm just holding down mouse 1 like this, so many rounds are flying down range, and only a couple of them need to hit him to be able to kill him. So there's just a very slim chance that he's going to survive that pass. Same thing with the Spitfire. I'm starting out above him, and there's just not much he's going to do. It's a clipped wing as well. He doesn't really maintain that much energy, and I'm just going to hold mouse 1 down yet again. Because, I mean, when you have 1,000 rounds of 20 mil, you're going to want to use all of them. Skip forward, I think 5 minutes maybe. I ended up killing an AFK 109, but I'm not going to show that. That's kind of boring. I end up going after the R2005, getting away from the Spitfire, because, I mean, I just don't really want to turn in front of him. This plane is actually respectably tanky, I'd say, but it does get, I don't know, its damage model is kind of inconsistent. It can shrug off most damage, I'd say, but then there are also some instances where you just get one tapped, like your entire plane explodes, which I find pretty annoying. It's mainly to Russian guns, which, I don't know, it's some sort of bias. But anyways, in the meantime, we are above the Spitfire. He didn't really have much room to gain any energy back, really, and he's going to go down. Next example, we have a Ki 84 directly below us. And I'm paying attention to the J7W in case he does come over here. He was following me actually before this clip for quite a while, actually, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So I want to make sure he doesn't keep focusing me. But I can see that he's caught up with the one of my teammates, so I end up going for the Ki 84 instead. He's a much more dangerous target, even though he is lower and slower. I'm going to go after him. A bit of a tough angle there, but since I have so much rounds, I'm just going to hold mouse 1 down, and eventually a couple of them find home. He goes down, and I'm going to speed this part up because it doesn't really... I don't know. It's just kind of me getting in position with the J7W. I'm going to pitch up into him. I'm going to start leading his turn, which means I'm going to turn kind of in the direction where he's going to be, because he's a bit faster than me. So my turn cycle, or my turn circle, is going to be a bit smaller than his. He's going to end up directly in front of me, and he goes down. So that was, I think, pretty much all of the boom and zoom examples I have. This is just an example of the very start of the game, and this is what I like to do. Even though I'm a bit below people, I don't tend to, I don't tend to climb very steep, but what I tend to do is just gain a bit of speed before I head on people by pitching down. So it appears that they have more energy than me, but realistically they're going like 300 while I'm going maybe 450 or 500. And I have a much easier time dodging the head-on, even though they're a bit higher than me, because I have more IIS built up, my controls are going to be more responsive, and I'm just a much better aircraft in a head-on because I have such a good armament. So they're at a pretty big disadvantage if they do take the head-on with me, and if they try and dodge, they're also at a big disadvantage because I have so much ammo, and my plane's already a pretty responsive aircraft. Same with this Yak-3. He tries to dodge a head-on, but since I'm going a pretty respectable speed, and I already have my nose on him, he ends up going down. K4 at the top of his loop. I almost actually whiff. I stopped shooting and almost pulled off of him there. But luckily, the Corsair does actually pull quite a few negative Gs, even though it's a positive G at high speed doesn't work that well. I end up using the instructor turn-off trick, or the control mode switch trick, to pull a couple of extra Gs to dodge the K4, and I'm now on his 6. And at these speeds, and at these distances, the K4 is just not going to be able to do much. It's kind of sad the K4 is not really able to do anything to the Corsair. These planes are both 5.7, yet the only advantage the K4 has is climb rate. That's about it. But the climb rate is actually it's not that big of a climb advantage that the K4 has, so it's just kind of sad. I do love the K4, but unfortunately, there's just better aircraft to pick at that BR. And this example is a 7-kill game, but the reason I'm showing you the intro clip here is, or the reason I'm showing you this game in particular, is because one of my horizontal stabilizers gets taken off, and for some reason, this actually has the same effect as if I were to turn the instructor off. This plane actually pulls the same amount of Gs as it used to, or as its old flight model used to, or as much as if you were to turn the instructor off. However, it doesn't have the risk of flat spinning because you still have the instructor on, which I find kind of stupid. It's a bit of an exploit here. But yeah, I'm showing you this because it's kind of stupid. I don't know, it's the price you pay is a bit of extra drag. You're a bit slower, but in turn you get kind of its old flight model pullback, So I'm going to pitch up for this 109, and there's just not much he's going to be doing. He either has to take the head-on and dodge, or he has to just be really good at dodging the head-on, but he just isn't fast enough. And I'm able to get yet again just a couple of rounds on target. I end up spraying at this 262. He only has a missing wingtip, so he's still alive. So I'm going to shoot a couple of rounds at him. He ends up getting an engine fire, and I'm just going to pretty much leave him alone. I mean, he's going to burn up anyways. Jets don't really like to put out fires unless they have fire extinguishers, but the 262 does not. I try to head on this 109 G14. I end up missing because my rudder was just, I don't know, I didn't put my plane in the best position because, I don't know, my rudder was already fully deflected to one side, so I just wasn't able to get my crosshair exactly where I wanted it, but I can just loop back over, he's not paying attention, and I end up sniping him. Pretty funny. And I'm going to end up going for the Spitfire now. And you're going to see I can still pull plenty of Gs even with one elevator, which I think it's a glitch. I'm pretty sure it is. The only other plane that I know has this glitch is actually the Spitfire F right there, the Griffin Spitfire. I've actually ripped my wings before because I had a horizontal stabilizer taken off. But yeah, that's besides the point. This plane is just kind of in a weird spot with its controls. There's a lot of exploits you can use. The gear air brake isn't an exploit, but the way that you can pull more AOA by just turning off the instructor is kind of dumb. Even though that's how I think it should be, I think the Corsair should realistically be good at high speeds with its pull. I would just rather have it at a higher BR. But that's... Anyways, we have another game here. This is a solo game where I had to kind of carry. I think a P-51H and an F-82 helped me. But we start off by getting two pretty easy kills on two guys that weren't paying attention. We end up extending away. And after maybe a minute or two of climbing, I end up going into a merge with an A7M. But the way he's diving is just kind of throwing me off. I'm not able to pull enough lead because I'm not able to kind of react to his dodge early enough to predict where he's going to be. So I end up missing him. Yet again, climbing just kind of over the furball, just waiting for the kind of right target. And instead of the Strike Master, I end up going for the 109 because he's getting baited by my teammate. He doesn't see me. And he ends up getting put into a torpedo. And yet again, I'm going to skip forward here just a bit. Kind of an uneventful game in the sense that I was just kind of climbing the whole game, just figuring out who I needed to go for. But instead of going for the Griffin Spitfire, I'm going to go for the Dodo. He's just a bit of an easier shot, but I do have to make sure the Spitfire isn't going to kill me. He actually ends up pitching into me, so I'm glad I checked behind me right after I killed that Dodo. A7M goes up for me, but I'm going to ignore him. And I go for the L11, but I did the same thing as I did with the Spitfire in the game before, or the 109 in the game before, where my rudder was already kind of fully deflected to one side, so I wasn't able to get my crosshair directly on him, so I ended up missing the head-on there. But since I have an ample bit of separation, I'm actually prepared for the head-on this time. I'm able to take the K4 out, yet again have enough time to prepare for the LA11 head-on. He pitches straight up into me and gets his engine killed, and so I now go for the Spitfire, who's actually getting baited by my teammate, F-82. So he ends up being another free kill. That's going to be 6. And now I'm in a bit of a weird spot. I probably should have extended away here, but I don't know. I just wanted this A7M dead. So I end up merging with him. He ends up almost going to commit with the head-on. I wasn't quite sure, but I just couldn't read what he was doing there, so I don't end up killing him. But now I'm in a bit of an odd position because I have to head on the Strike Master. If I try and run from the Strike Master, he catches me, but when I do go for the head-on with the Strike Master, it puts me directly in front of the A7M. So I have to be really careful not to get hit by a couple of his shells. Luckily, the F-82 gets him off my 6. I'm able to reclimb and reestablish my energy advantage. And the P-51 gets a crit on the A7M, I believe. And I think this guy ends up crashing into a house because he had damages of his tail. Yep, there he goes. So A7M goes down. Strike Master is the last guy. And the Strike Master has like 7 7s. I'm pretty confident in head-oning this guy and winning. And, yeah, that's all she wrote. Strike Master goes down. That is 7 kills. And that is going to be the game. The next match, we have another 7-kill game. This time it is in a duo with RMAX. And we start off above pretty much everyone. Actually, nobody really climbed this game, so I end up going straight down. And I'm already going a bit too fast. I probably should have cut throttle here. I end up trying to go for the Yak 3, but I'm just not able to pull enough negative Gs there. I kind of put my plane in a bit of a bad position, I'd say, to go for that shot. I should have rolled inverted, but there was just so many targets in front of me that I kind of couldn't figure out who to go for until the last second. But I now know who to go for. There's only a single guy in my gun sight. Yak 3, he's going pretty slow. He goes down. Spitfire goes down, pulls full broadside to me. He probably didn't even see me coming. But 2 in 1 pass is a pretty solid score. I'm not going to go for any more. I'm just going to extend back up. RMAX gets a kill on the Yak 3. He extends away, kind of baiting the enemies, and when we extend in opposite directions like that, the enemy can only follow one of us at a time, so he ends up giving me a bit of space to turn back around, get above these guys, and I can now single out the Spitfire below me. However, I do see the Yak 3 coming in as well, and I don't really know who to choose here. I want the Spitfire dead, but he's kind of rolling in a way that is just going to be really hard for me, so I only end up shooting a couple of rounds at him. I end up going for the Yak 3, missing him as well. So I end up getting nobody in that 1 pass, and I now have to run away from the Yak 3. Be a bit careful because Russian 20s seem to have a vendetta against this aircraft and its damage model, so I just really don't want to get hit by them. I end up going head on with the A7M. Last bullet gets a severe on his wing, excuse me, and he's going to end up flying around for a bit longer because A7Ms can fly with 1 wing, unfortunately. But I end up just kind of zoom climbing away from the Yak 3. He ends up going after RMAX, and when he does that, he gives me enough space to kind of turn around back on top of him. But I end up missing the pass again. So I'm yet again just going to extend away from him. And just ignore him. I'm much faster than him. There's an LA7 directly in front of me who just took off, so he has a full ammo load. I'm assuming he wants to go head on with me. And I'm glad to take it if he wants to as well. He gets killed, dodge his rounds, and I'm going to now go for the Yak 3, who is also caught up with RMAX again. And he's just not really fast enough to do much. Even though it's a Yak 3, I do have to be a bit careful, but in this head-on, he also just does not dodge. He gets his entire plane pulled apart. A7M tries to go in for a landing. I end up tapping a couple of rounds at him. He tanks them. I don't know. I probably only hit 1 or 2 there. Kind of whiffed that. But yeah, he ends up getting killed by RMAX a bit later. I end up spiking this Yak 3 in the meantime because I have the speed to. And I'm just not sure if he saw me, but he ends up getting his wing torn off pretty easily. And the last guy in the match is a Seafire on the, not other side of the map, the middle of the map, I'd say. And he was ground pounding. He's just... Seafire ground pounding is just not what you want to see. He ends up turning in a pretty odd spot for me to shoot at, but then he turns back in front of me. He ends up giving me a broadside directly on top of his aircraft, and he's going to go down. This match is an 8-kill game. This was a full up tier. I think I only recorded 7 of them. The last guy was like a G8N1. I ended up killing right off the runway. But yeah, right now there are 2 Mark 24s above me. I end up getting a hit on 1. And it was kind of an aggressive play to pitch up for both of them like this, but in reality, 2 Mark 24s and they're both squatted up. I just really want one of them gone at least because Mark 24s are just really annoying to face in pretty much any aircraft. My plane does outrun them, but that's about the only advantage I actually have. Mark 24s climb better than me. They are just a much better turning aircraft. They have arguably better guns. I don't know, I like Mark II Hispanos quite a bit. But I'm going to chase this guy. I'm going to focus him. I really want him gone. 2 Mark 24s working together is just a really bad idea to have. I end up killing him. And I see his other teammates not really happy. I also have another Spitfire below me who's trying to catch me as well. So I'm just going to extend away. And after a bit of running, they end up both breaking off. I see both of them down here now. My teammate is getting chased by a Sea Fury. I think the Mark 24 gives him a bit of space. But I just kind of want to make sure that I can save my teammate here. I do end up going for the Spitfire before, but I end up seeing that Paulo needs a bit of help with the Sea Fury because he just has more energy. Paulo has to pitch down, but the Sea Fury does not see me. So I'm just going to be able to get a pretty free kill. He's at the top of his loop. He's really slow. And I only need a couple of bullets for that. I end up climbing away for a tiny bit. Mark 24 gets caught up in a dogfight with Paulo yet again in a P59. I'm just going to spray at this Mark 24. I want him gone. Mark 24s are just not something you want to keep around in a match if they're on the enemy team. I have very big respect for Mark 24 whenever I see it in ARB. It is, in my opinion, the best prop in the game. So I just have that extra bit of respect for it. It needs to go. Do 335B probably doesn't see me until the last second. I end up taking his wing off and just barely dodging his nose in time. But I was able to get that close because he didn't have his nose directly on me. So it was a bit close. But yeah, he ends up going down. And I end up chasing after the Spitfire. I think he has an oil leak, so I'm going to be able to catch him anyways. And there's just not much this guy's going to do. I'm already directly on his 6 behind him like this. It was a Griffin. And yeah, when you pull full broadside like that, when you're not going that fast, it's just, yeah, he just goes down pretty easily. I now go for the 288, which are the absolute bane of my existence. I've only died a couple of times in this thing while recording all the footage for this video, and two of the deaths were from getting one shot by a 288C. So those planes are like my kryptonite, 288s and Russian 20 mils. But yeah, that's besides the point. We end up going after the Arado. This is my 7th kill, and I mean, it's an Arado, it's defenseless. It was not too much to talk about. He is pretty maneuverable, though. At high speeds, he actually outturns me. But, yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. I end up getting 8 this game. The G8N1 I just kind of killed after takeoff. But, yeah, I just didn't record it. Didn't feel like the need to. So, yeah, the errata goes down. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.